Scotty are all joining in too.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're going live now.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Angela Jacobson, the Aussie Super Nanny. Today we're going to talk to you about a really important topic about bullying. I've got one of my special guests here already, and we've had a little technical issue, and hopefully everyone else will be able to join in soon. Zarina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, I'm Zarina Bryant. I'm a profile photographer who's based in Singapore. I have 2 kids, Tasha, who's 8, and Nathan, who is 6 years old. So this is a great topic. It's probably the right timing for especially Tasha. So yeah, I was interested to see what you have to say. And yeah, by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, 21 today. Yeah, look, it is a super important topic, and unfortunately it happens too often in today's society, and from little kids right through to adults, there's no real escape to bullying. So I guess it's arming your kids with self-confidence as well is a big thing to make them feel good about themselves, and try to ignore some of the bullying, because I think that if we can stop it from getting to us, it obviously helps a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's been some questions sent in by some viewers and people that couldn't make it today.
Yeah.
Zee, do you want to fire away with some of those?
Sure. So one of the questions was, how can you tell if your child has been bullied or if the child is the actual bully?
Okay. Just before I answer that, Paula, hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry it took me so long. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's cool. And also, Vivian, I can see you're joining in too. Hey, honey. I've just started because we're running a little behind, and I knew we had a few technical issues, but it's great that you guys are all on. I'll let you introduce yourselves quickly too. Paula, do you want to start?
Sure. My name's Paula Robinson. I am a blogger and public relations consultant, and I am a mom of 2 young boys who I am hoping to not raise to be bullies. So this is going to be a very good conversation to start out because they're still young. So.
Awesome. And Viv, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. Hi everyone. I'm Vivian, Vivian Pei, and I live in Singapore, but I'm currently visiting family in the States. So I was just trying to get everybody off to bed, jet lag. I've got 2 kids also, one of which has a very strong personality, and I could see her heading that direction if we're not careful. And that said, I come from a background where as a kid I was bullied, so I know what it's like from the other side. So
yeah.
I know it's a very, very big thing that people don't talk about, so it needs to be brought out into the open.
Yeah, and that's the thing. At the moment in Australia, they've been doing a lot of campaigns about bullying, and I think the awareness of bullying and unfortunately, in extreme cases, there's a lot of teenage suicide and things like that, which is terrible statistic, but unfortunately, it's the reality of society that we live in. But I was just saying before you ladies joined in that obviously bullying is something that can happen to kids, but it goes all the way through life. Even as adults, it's something that you can face, and unfortunately, sometimes we can be the bully too. So I guess it's about realizing when you are behaving like that, and always trying not to. Zee, sorry, do you want to go back to your question that you asked me as well again? Sorry. Zee? I think Zee's frozen.
She's frozen.
Okay, I think the question was about working out whether your child is the bully or whether they're being bullied, ways to sort of to see this, and I think that's a really good question, because we always think of bullying and we think that our child is being bullied, but people often don't realize that sometimes their child is the bully. So I think being aware, I guess when you're talking to your kids, find out who their friends are, and I think that you can judge their good characters at judging who their good friends are. They tell you when their friends are mean, and so I think it's monitoring that. It's tough because kids can obviously over-dramatize things, but keeping an eye on any constant names that come up with negative comments associated with them.
Right.
Yeah, and also, as you said, Viv, it's tough when your kid might possibly be doing the bullying. So again, monitoring their language and their behavior. If they've got siblings, it's another good way to see how they behave with their siblings, because often if that's how they're behaving with their brother and sister, they could be behaving the same way at school. So I think a lot of positivity and breeding confidence in your kids is the main thing. And regardless of what the reason is, obviously there's so many reasons kids get bullied, and the other thing is kids just can be mean and they'll just find something to pick on your child about. So if there are any sort of slight imperfections or what have you, try and teach your children to be confident about that, so that they just take it on the chin and don't let it affect them, because I think the main thing is not allowing the bullies to realize they're actually getting to you. And as hard as that it can be, it's, I guess, showing that poker face.
It's interesting the thing you say about confidence, though, Ange, because I'm thinking for my child, my daughter who you've met, Emily, is there such a thing as overconfident? Because she's really got it in state to the point where I think that's why I'm worried about her potentially being the bully. I mean, not necessarily, I mean, she does it in quite a nice way for the moment, but you can really see how she bosses the little brother out. And I know that's a natural thing, the older sister bossing the little brother. But she just has a way of getting her way always.
As most women do. Look, I guess that's another issue. You want to build your children's confidence up and you want to tell them how beautiful they are and all these things, but I guess there's a fine line there as well, because you don't want them to be too confident. And and I guess teaching them nice ways to speak to their friends and it's difficult, but I guess as parents, when we hear them saying things, we need to correct them and try to get them to say it in a nicer way and explain, I guess, that it could hurt someone's feelings and suggest, maybe if someone said that to you, how would you feel about it?
That's what I do,
Yeah, so I had a little box pop up on the side there from May. I know May wanted to join the Hangout, but unfortunately she's having some technical issues as well. So she has posted some questions, which I believe Zarina was going to ask me, but we've lost Zarina in the process. So hopefully we'll get Zarina back in a minute. Paula, do you have any questions while you're there?
Yeah, I was really hoping that Scott was going to be able to join us, because he's a teacher and a sports coach. And something that was thrown right into my face immediately upon getting back to the U.S., me being a huge football fan, right now in NFL football, there is an NFL player that has left his team because he was being bullied by another teammate. So even, like you were saying, even in adulthood, people are still bullying each other. So that's obviously, we need to nip that in the bud when they're kids. So where do we tell them that the line is? Because there is the good old-fashioned, jading among kids where they're going to say things to each other, and sometimes you just have to build up a tough skin. But how do we teach our kids where that line is? Where is the line from just kids being kids? Where does it actually cross over into bullying?
Yeah. And that's, I guess that is tough, because you want some banter, and even throughout adulthood there's that banter, but I guess it's something that if I guess to teach the kids, if you wouldn't like them to say it to you, then don't say it to somebody else. And I guess it comes back to the old-fashioned, if you haven't got something nice to say, don't say anything. Obviously, when it's something about someone's appearance, that's never a topic that is acceptable. I guess if it's in a sporting way and they don't kick the goal, there can be a bit of banter that way. I know last night here in Australia there was a football match on, or the night before, a soccer match, and the Australian fans were booing one of our players, and I just found it disgusting. I mean, I know it's in the sporting context, but he's playing in his country with his fans, and they all were booing him like it was incredible. And he was obviously visually upset by the whole thing and came out in the media the next day and was disgusted by it. And I guess that's a large form of bullying, that if everybody bands together, just thinking of the consequence of how that person feels. So I guess, putting it back to kids, really try to get them to understand how they're hurting someone's feelings and suggest that they wouldn't like it if similar things were said. So yeah, it's definitely, it's a tough line to draw, but I guess if it's repetitive, it's another thing. And as I said, if you hear the same child being mentioned at home for being mean or saying mean things, keep an eye on that. Teachers are fantastic to speak to as well. It's a shame Scott couldn't be here, but I mean, he would witness it all the time. I witnessed it in private houses as a nanny. You witnessed it in the playground and what have you, but you also see it in the workforce. Bullying is just something that unfortunately is part of life. But if there's the right adults around, they can try and help monitor that and prevent it from going too far. And I guess that's where teachers are good at at seeing what's happening. They can see who's the bully, who's being bullied, and most teachers will speak to you about it if they feel that there's a real concern, especially when kids are getting older, because, you know, as teenagers, the last thing any teenager needs is to be getting bullied. They've got enough going on in their life without being bullied as well. So, Z, we got you back.
I'm now on my phone.
Okay, cool.
Ah, okay.
I'm doing the call from my phone as well.
I just had a little message pop up from May. She's having some technical issues and she can't log on, but I believe you've got her question there ready to ask. So do you want to fire away with that one?
Yes, sure. Okay, so May's question was, kids with eczema, for example, may get singled out and bullied. How would you handle this in schools? Is there a way in which you could inform the kids and inform the parents and inform the teachers to help maybe with this issue?
Yeah, I guess that you could, if it's a really visual thing, again, picking on someone's appearance is never a nice thing to do. But if it is a visual problem that you can see the eczema, perhaps talk to the teacher, and the teacher could like inform the class a little bit about eczema. And at the end of the day, it's just dry skin, so it's nothing to be picked on anyway. And I think if you make the child feel confident enough that it's just dry skin and there's, you know, nothing wrong with me, I'm still beautiful, you know, and empower your child so that they don't feel bad if somebody mentions it. And I guess, yeah, it's a little bit of awareness in the classroom. If it is a real visual thing that the kids are going to notice, little kids ask questions, it's natural. So empower your child with the answers, and maybe, yeah, a little bit of awareness in the classroom so that the kids are aware, and, you know, it is just dry skin. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Actually, at my kid's school, there was actually a case where, I can't remember what it's called, but it's where the kid has sort of like fish scales, and it and so what the parents did is actually, before the kid came into the school, they sent a letter and sent a little bit of information. School sent it out to everyone, and everyone was told to speak to their child about it, just to educate them a little bit more beforehand. So that actually was quite nice. So the kids were ready to go when they actually met this little girl. So
yeah, and I think it's similar with, you know, nowadays there's a sign at the school if there's a kid with anaphylaxia in the classroom. Again, you educate your children that they're allergic to peanuts, and, you know, so, or if it's epilepsy, a little bit of awareness so that if the child fits, the other children know what's going on. And I think, yeah, the more awareness there is about anything, especially if it's a medical condition, then it's not such a wow when they see something. I guess it just helps, and, you know, kids are curious, they are going to ask questions, that's just part of it. But I guess teaching the child that, you know, they're okay and build their confidence so that if there are any nasty comments, that they sort of just take it on the chin and don't get too upset by it all.
Did you cover off the how can you tell if your child has been bullied or is the bully?
Yeah, yeah, while you're missing, yeah.
You can skip that one then.
Okay. Was there any other question from May?
No, that was her main question. So.
Okay, cool. And did you have another question?
Yes.
Kim?
Sorry?
The other person that was asking the questions that was sent in is Kim. Hi, Kim. Kim's in America too.
Hi, Kim.
Okay, so I think her question was, do split parents have an effect on bullying in a child's life? Is that a big component? You know, so one day they go to school, their parents are no longer together. How does that affect kids? Have you ever come across any experiences like that?
No, I think nowadays it's kind of normal. Like if you know, so many different makeups for families, I think split parents has just become, unfortunately, part of the norm. So I haven't sort of noticed or known of any sort of bullying in relation to that. I think there is a bit more around same-sex parenting. That's obviously over time something it'll become normal and you know, lose the stigma and what have you associated with it. But I haven't noticed any from parents breaking up. And obviously, again, if the parents, you know, instill confidence in the kids, it's clearly not the kids' fault the parents have broken up. You know, again, and that's just silly, obviously, there's no reason to be picking on a kid because their parents have broken up. It's got nothing to do with the kids. So, yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen too often.
Mm-hmm. What kind of examples of bullying would you say to watch out for? I mean, I've noticed with my daughter, sometimes she comes back and it's like, oh, they don't want to play with me, or sometimes they don't want me to join in. Now, when you go to school and you talk to the teachers about this, they say, oh, I haven't really noticed about it. Maybe it's just strong personalities. But in a small child, they'll feel like that's a mean thing. So, is that just the start of bullying that when kids are not wanting to play, and then it just kind of goes on from there?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, to a degree, it's a start, but like Viv was saying before, if your child's got a strong personality, perhaps they are being, I wouldn't say bullying, but if they're dominating the relationship with the children, perhaps that's part of it. So I guess talking to the kids about how they're speaking to their friends, whether they're being nice, sharing, all those sort of things, and suggesting perhaps if you played with, so-and-so a bit nicer or what have you, they might want you to join in. I think at a really young age, unfortunately, kids are so fickle. They have a new best friend every day, and they come home one day and this person's the world's worst, and the next day they're best friends again. So, but I guess keeping an eye on that. And I said before, I think you were off air at that point. If the same name keeps coming up, keep an eye on that, because obviously, the kids are going to tell you so and so's been mean, and I guess if it's always the same name, then perhaps talk to the teacher about that child. And teachers can also separate the kids in the classroom or keep an eye on them in the playroom as well. So, and what was the rest of the question? To some examples of
so
things.
Some examples. I mean, obviously, in this, when you're talking older kids, there's cyberbullying, so that's another question. But I guess it's not wanting to have a person be played with. What other things can happen? Because I think kids are very, very smart and very subtle in the way that they do, that they implement bullying. So it can be very quiet and very, it's almost unnoticeable sometimes, is my feeling.
I mean, I would just say from personal experience, there's obviously the racial element to it, which unfortunately still exists, sadly, and that is, I suppose it is appearance-based, but it's not a medical condition sort of appearance. It's a uniquely, just there's nothing. Whereas a medical appearance thing, like eczema, can get better, but obviously a racial thing can't change. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I think, and again, I was also Asian and a geek, so that was really good. So I had the glasses and the whole, so that was again not the, not the jockey sort of popular type, as it were. So I think there was a little bit of, there's that aspect. And now what I'm hearing, been reading a lot about recently, which as someone with a daughter, which really scares me, is the whole slut shaming. You've heard about this, which is awful.
Yeah.
Girls seeming to have a certain behavior and being completely crucified for it. And
I
to the point
have to say I'm
really
looking forward to having a conversation with my sons.
Yes, that's the thing. As a boy as well, that's the thing. I think the problem is mums and parents need to have the conversation with the boys as much as the girls, because it's how do you perceive women, and how do you, it's a huge thing, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. And I guess all of that, what you're saying, again, it's up to the teachers to create some awareness in the classroom. This world is very multicultural, so skin color should not be something that people are bullied for. We're born with what we've got, and we should just love ourselves for that. And appearance, unfortunately, is one of the main things that people are bullied about, and whether that's being overweight, the skin color, glasses, for example, I can remember the kids that had warts at school and all the little things that, kids can be so mean. But, even I can remember a kid that wet their pants at school got picked on. And, there's all these things that, unfortunately, kids will find any reason, really. But I do think appearance is definitely a major thing. And skin color, unfortunately, as well. And that continues not just at school but throughout life. But I think the younger we educate our kids at home and in the classroom about our multicultural world that we live in and how we're all unique but wonderful. Again, I mean, the person with the glasses is no different from anybody else. I think that, really at home we've got to work on that. And I guess with the slut shaming, as you said, unfortunately, again, we're very judgmental people, and I think when somebody dresses a certain way or looks a certain way, we tend to judge people, and I think it's important, obviously, for young girls to try to prevent them from dressing too provocatively. I mean, I know we all have the right to wear what we want, but that obviously is going to accelerate any of this teasing, especially as teenagers, and your behavior, I guess, too, as a teenager. People often get reputations for things they did. So, again, it's about how they behave, and is often how they're seen.
But sometimes it's, I mean, I have to say, on that particular note, I know it's sometimes behavior that didn't occur. You know, like girls who won't put out, and therefore, in order to get back at them, guys will say shit.
Yeah.
And then that all, unfortunately, very quickly cycles.
Yeah.
And I know that happened when in my high school, and it was a really, you know, it's a terrible thing to watch.
I was just thinking I had a similar thing happen when I was young, and I mean, now you sort of look back and go, how ridiculous, but at the time it crushes you as a young individual. I guess, again, staying confident, and you know the truth, and your real friends will know the truth, and I guess it's trying to not let everyone else bother you, and even if that has to just be your poker face for the crowd, and just ensuring, I guess, for teenagers, daughters and sons, that they've got someone to talk to, and often it can't be the parent, but hopefully there's a neighbor or a cousin or somebody that your kids can feel like they can talk to if they've got any problems.
Is there maybe a list of books we could maybe publish on this event afterwards? Maybe age appropriate for different sections of ages that we could maybe help parents with. That might be suitable. So something like, actually, funny enough, there is a book that Madonna wrote, which Tasha actually has, and she quite likes reading it, and it helped her with, in this very young age, dealing with different people. So she actually read it quite a lot, and I was actually thinking about buying that and giving it to a number of kids, and it's her choice of book, but she really enjoyed reading it because she learned something from there. So I'm wondering if there's like age appropriateness books along the way that might, maybe we can get a list and put that up.
Yeah, there definitely are, and I mean the Madonna books are a great example. And I know she wrote those books when she has a daughter, and her daughter would have been going through similar to all of yours as well. So I guess that was her way of helping her own daughter. But fortunately, it's been able to help lots of kids around the world. They're also younger than that stories for younger kids, and I guess similar to learning how to share and all the little things. There's some quite nice picture books out there that mums and dads can read with their kids to try and help teach them about bullying and sharing and all the different topics that we need to help them with, but by doing it in a fun story way, and then they can sort of relate to the character. And then I know that there are also books for older kids as well. And I'm sure in schools, especially in high school, it is something they touch on and they talk about. But then obviously Google's amazing for finding out any information, especially as a parent or a carer. If you think something's happening that you want to find out more, or the right ways to go about it and the right things to say, Google's amazing for all that sort of stuff too.
Well, I mean, as a teen, I had nothing like. I mean, I was bullied in school. Well, not bullied, but I was like one of two Asians in an entire high school. So, I didn't really have anyone to talk to. My parents were living in another country. It was happening in high school. If my best friend had not stepped in, it would have just continued on and on and on and on. So, but the thing is, it wasn't something that I was willing to talk to my parents about. And there were days when you just felt, I don't want to go to school. I just don't want to walk to school. I don't want to be on a bus. I don't want to be anywhere close to anything. So, and it's kind of hard, because when you're in it, you don't think, oh, I'm going to go buy a book and read about it.
Yeah.
I think like a parent maybe has to be responsible for making sure that information comes across, as you said. So. And
teachers as well. I think the school really. I think fortunately nowadays, I know your referrals to Australia, and I think even Tasmania nowadays is a lot more multicultural than it used to be. So I think the race issues are a lot better than they used to be, because kids are now exposed to so many different races in the classroom. I think that's something that the teachers especially are on top of. But I think, yeah, the teachers really need to play an important role at keeping an eye on and educating as well as the parents.
Yep.
I've also actually, as far as resources, I had a couple of articles that I think are really good for parents to read, so maybe we can put the links up.
Post them up.
So,
yeah, absolutely. Paula,
do you feel like sometimes, can you hear me okay? I think I'm fading out. I feel like sometimes we're fighting a losing battle because you look at Disney movies and you even, and it's like the whole ugly duckling thing, the girl's only accepted once she hits a certain point of beauty. Look at one of the classic Christmas movies, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Even Santa was a jerk to Rudolph. He was able to give some use to him. And then we have the media perpetuating it all by them, you know, calling girls sluts and talking about, I mean, I know that celebrities are sort of okay with being critiqued on their clothing. You know, that's kind of par for the course of being a celebrity, but you see posts, grown men, grown women, 30 and 40-year-olds telling Justin Bieber to go kill himself. You know, it's everywhere. I feel like we're fighting a losing battle.
And I guess with the magazines and everything, the way they portray this imperfection, like there's, you know, these models have no imperfections, and they're portrayed in a way. I mean, statistics for guys that are trying to conform is worse than women, I think, now, with the way the perfect male is portrayed. And I guess the media has a big part to play with all of this, because they are sending out the wrong message to kids. And, you know, I think the main thing that we need to teach them is they're all beautiful in their own way, and no matter what they look like. And I guess the main thing is it's what's inside that counts rather than the outside. But unfortunately, with the way the media is and what have you, it can be often hard to teach your kids that when they're seeing something different.
Well, especially when you got Photoshop running rampant.
Yeah.
Speaking of Photoshop, what I did was I actually showed Tasha, I came across a link, and it was quite an easy one. So I actually showed her the little video. It took about 2 minutes, and it showed her what the girl looked like before, and how she sat there and basically went through this whole process of the change and the photoshopping experience. So Tasha was kind of saying, oh, you know, I kind of know that happens already, because she's played computer games where they put makeovers and things like that. So she had at least a little bit of understanding, but I think she found it very interesting to just watch it from the before to the after. So I think that's another way you can show kids that, you know, what you see is not necessarily, you know,
what you get. Yeah.
You know, she saw the neck being stretched and the legs being lengthened and things being shrunk.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's the one that's been going around. Yeah.
Yeah. So
was it Cindy Crawford who said that she wished she looked as good as Cindy Crawford? I think it was her that said that.
Actually, we can probably switch over to Linda on this one, since she's
Hello,
just
Linda. Oh, yeah. Welcome.
Hello. Sorry, I'm stumbling late as usual.
So, Linda, we were just talking about photoshopping and how models look completely different, maybe after, you know, from the beginning of the shoot to the end of the shoot, and how, you know, that can educate kids. You know, maybe showing them the process can educate them on what's real and what's not. So, as someone who's seen herself change in many, many different magazines and photos, maybe you'd like to comment.
Very funny, actually, because I just picked up a magazine that I came out in this past month, and I'm photoshopped beyond recognition. So, yes, there's this definite, you know, problem with reality here when you're dealing with the subject of image and what's sellable and what marketing people deem as not. I just came in as Paula was saying that the fantastic Cindy Crawford quote, and she's absolutely right. I was like, everybody in the magazines and things like that looks so unreal that it does feel like a fighting, you know, battle when you're dealing with it as a parent. You're trying to tell your children it's not real, but how do you define real when it's, you know, in magazines like this, you know, all the time? So, you know, you see it, you're bombarded by it, and you're desperately holding on to reality.
It's tough. We had a day recently here in Australia, Makeup Free Day. So right the way through the morning TV presenters, everybody that day had no makeup, just to sort of touch base with real women and real beauty and sort of remove all the makeup for the day. Which was it was nice to see that, especially on TV, because, we know how much makeup you need on TV to look quite nice. So it was nice to see them all stripped bare and just show that real beauty, because, I mean, look, I can see you've got no makeup on now, Linda, and still gorgeous. So we don't need to be full of makeup to, that most of it's in your eyes and your smile anyway, real beauty. So, and in your confidence. So if you can instill that confidence in your kids, no matter what their actual appearance is, if they're confident, that shows. And
absolutely,
yeah, it's super important.
Absolutely. Even on Twitter, like, I've taken a moment to, every once in a while, I'll hashtag a barefaced photo, or barefaced Monday, or barefaced whatever, and Zarina's jumped on it, and a couple of my friends have jumped on it, and yeah, it's just to show that, hey, I'm out shopping, doing what I do all day long with my kids, and I've got not a speck of makeup on. So enjoy, ladies. Make a stand. Make a stand.
Absolutely. I've still got, I don't know if you can see, I've got the leftover, a little bit of red lipstick left over. I've been an elf today.
Yay!
I'm working alongside Santa at the moment in one of our big department stores. So
I know him.
Bring joy. Bring joy.
Yeah, it's been cool, actually. But yeah, Linda, did you have any questions before we wrap it up? Just because we've been going for about 30 minutes and everyone will be losing interest by now.
Yeah, no. I think you guys have hit every single nail on the head. I just wanted to jump on and say yay, hello to everybody, and I support the whole anti-bullying effort, and every little bit helps. We just need to keep it at the forefront, and I know not to let people get tired of it. They need to stay vigilant.
Yeah. And to continue to talk to your kids, talk to the teachers if need be, pump that confidence into your kids, and knowledge is power. Let them know if they're not sure, and maybe your kid's coming home and going, hey, the kid at school's got X, Y, and Z. Teach them a little bit about that so that it's not so shocking for them, and then they'll just become used to it. And, I think staying on top of it as a parent is crucial. And if you feel that your kid is being bullied, report it to your teacher or to somebody to try and make it stop.
As a final note, honestly, it was like, as a parent, don't accept mediocrity. Don't accept just average. Expect better of your kids. Hold them to a better standard. Hold yourself to a better standard, and hold everyone else too. It's not going to go away one person at a time. We've got to really make a group effort.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me, and we'll be back again next month for another topic. I'm going to post the link. I did a few radio interviews on bullying as well, so if anyone's got anything to add to the event wall, that'd be awesome. Any books, any articles, I'll post the radio links as well, and let's all work together to stop bullying.
Yay!
All right, ladies. Thank you.
Bye. Thank
you soon.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.